I feel so bad for past me right now. Enjoy!
The rediscovered son, Prince of Troy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Monday Weekly Reviews, and we are back with more Troy Fall of a City. I'm already regretting doing this without any booze on my breath. So episode 2 of Conditions picks up where episode 1 left off, of Helen of Troy riding into Troy, mostly on Paris's horse, because apparently Paris didn't know that she was in the crate. Ha ha ha. But soon as he found out midway through the voyage home, he was like, I'm gonna keep her as my woman. That's my woman. That's my amazing voice of manhood. Yay! It's like, I hate you, Paris. I hope you die. Still, though, how it actually kicks off, aside from that storyline from Paris's perspective, is that Menelaus is looking for his wife. Evidently, though, Hermione thinks that it was all Paris' idea to kidnap her and then put her on his ship, completely ignoring the fact that Paris himself thought that he lost out on Helen of Troy in the first place, and he just found out that she stowed herself away onto his boat. But we're gonna ignore that because I already have enough gripes to pick about stupid plot lines like this in Gotham when we come back to that in a couple of weeks. So, with Menelaus now flipping shit, he calls forth his brother of Agamemnon for, you guessed it, conquest and war to get his woman back. Because he wants to actually fight for his woman now instead of having his brother fight for her himself. So, yeah. Going back to Paris, though, his parents and family are flipping their shit. I am not even kidding. They're literally like, Paris, what did you do? We sent you over there to make peace, not steal a man's bride. And I'm just sitting there like, you asked a drunken moron that has only been a shepherd most of his life to do diplomacy around a man that's kind of an ass and his somewhat appealing wife. What else did you expect from this? You could have sent any other person. Hell, Hector was the most logical choice to go and do these things, yet you chose Paris, of all people. Paris, who spent most of the time after learning that he was a prince getting drunk and then suspiciously getting more STDs than any god or goddess on Olympus. What I'm saying is everyone in this show is stupid. So, Paris's parents just like, yeah, we're gonna have to talk this over about whether or not you're gonna keep your kidnapped victim, so you go on and play a little bit. And, yeah, close the door, please. Then when they're trying to close the door, Helen of Troy is just coming in like, listen, I know it looks suspicious, but I chose this because I didn't love Menelaus. I love your son. Mostly for the sex, but I love your son. Especially for the sex because he's younger than Menelaus. But again, I'm kind of a whore in this interpretation instead of being a strong, independent woman that doesn't want to be here in the first place. And because of that whole display, they're like, we're gonna keep Helen as a guest. Yay! But we're gonna try and do some paying tributes to the Greek lords to get them off our asses. Yay! But what are the Greeks doing right now? Well, as I stated before, Menelaus called his brother of Agamemnon, and Agamemnon is getting all of the protectors and lords of Greece and the allies of Greece. So, what happens with that sentiment is that he's sending his friend of Diomedes to go and see Odysseus. So I had to build up so you guys didn't see all the whole build up thing I had to do. I had to make it seem all suspicious. Where Odysseus at this point in time just had another kid. Something I wish they pointed out in the mythology, because I only thought he had a son, but lost in translation stuff. What can you do? Where, doing so, Penelope and Odysseus try to come up with a big plan of he got a brain tumor, he's not feeling that well. But Diomedes is just like, can I see your baby real quick? Puts the baby in front of like a charging stampede of cows trying to plow the land, and Odysseus is just like, you psychopath! Swerves the cows out of the way, and they're just like, so you weren't faking. I knew you'd come around, my friend. And you can just tell by Odysseus' face that he's just like, we're not friends. I fucking hate you. Get off of my island. I will chop you in half. How dare you ruin my peace and glory? I knew you wouldn't be mad at me. I hate you. That's the whole entire spiel and shamangity boop that was going on throughout the entire event. So they're just like, now that we know that you're conscious, you coming to the war? And you can also tell that although his mouth said yes, Odysseus is thinking about 743 million different ways that he could kill everyone that he once called friend that has ruined this really nice moment for him. As he then leaves his kid, his wife, his kingdom, his dog, and all of this because Menelaus wants to get his wife back that honestly left him because she didn't want to sign divorce papers. This interpretation is just as stupid as the myth, and it's getting even more stupider. What? So, after all of the lords are gathered, like the main players, Agamemnon, Menelaus, Nessus, Diomedes, Odysseus, Ajax the Greater, Ajax the Lesser, and Achilles, where in this interpretation they got a black actor to play as him, so okay, cool, even more black actors in Britain getting star roles. But I'm also kind of dreading that because of Achilles' fate in the Trojan War, but we'll touch on that later. So, with all that being said, they're all set to go out to war, while during this time on the Trojan side, Helen is just setting in pretty well as a guest, getting some okay-ish food. Everyone's just like, I don't like that Helen's in this house. She's manipulated your brother Hector. And Hector's just like, well, to be fair, I barely knew he was my brother until probably a couple of months ago. But, sure, yeah, totally manipulated him. He totally didn't plan this whole shit out to just fuck us over. I really wish that someone would do something. Well, darling, if it makes you feel any better, I'm gonna try and get her the fuck off this island. And that's kind of true for Hector's whole mainstay idealism in this whole episode, but we'll get back to Hector later, as we have to go back to Paris and Helen, where we get things of Helen's makeup montage, to then Helen and Paris trying to be a cute couple of making out sessions, staring at each other eye to eye, and then of course the fucking. Cause that's what we wanted to see in this show. Just fucking. But on the Greek side, they're stuck at the shore because apparently some gods are like, yeah, you ain't leaving this island at all, fool. And they're like, why aren't the gods letting us leave this island? And then Odysseus asked the smart question, did you offer sacrifices or try and give them a phone plan? And then Agamemnon is just like, well, we were so busy trying to get everyone aboard and even try to force you into this war, we didn't even think about getting them anything. We even tried to spend all of our Uber credits just to get everyone over here in time to get some of this premium food. I've never even heard of this stuff. Like, what the fuck is spaghetti and lasagna? So then they're just like, send the seers and whatnot. Let's see if we can cater something for them. And the seers are just like, I will sacrifice anything to you, Artemis, because as the queen of the hunt and goddess of the moon, you control the wind, even though that's a different god altogether. What must we do to abide by you? And then instead of showing us Artemis trying to tell us what she wants, we just get an actress that shows up trembling from something, either from being super cold because the film set was obviously outdoors with cold ass winds making her really regret wearing a no sleeves dress, or she was just shaking with adrenaline like I do because adrenaline deficiency, yo. But we're then told, instead of shown, that she wants a sacrifice of the purest dove on earth. But not an actual dove, but an actual person, of Agamemnon's daughter of Iphigenia. Where in this adaptation they keep misfucking pronouncing it as Iphigenia. How? Why? What? like, I know that Europe is not that far distance-wise from Greece, so they could have actually gotten that name right along with every other name they seem to get right in this. Menelaus, Agamemnon, Odysseus, Diomedes, Nessus, Achilles, but you can't get Iphigenia right. Hell, they got Clytemnestra, the wife of Agamemnon, right, but they couldn't get Iphigenia right? Like, seriously, what the fuck? But then Agamemnon is just like, wait, I have to do what now? I don't want to sacrifice my daughter. Menelaus, are you sure that this wife of yours is worth it? But Menelaus, wanting to have the biggest dick in the room, is just like, I must have my wife back, man. It is a matter of consequence that the Trojans learn to not steal my bride. I want my Spartan bitch back. And everyone that's probably watching this is just like, dude, your wife left you. Just sign the divorce papers, get half of her shit in the divorce, and go home. There's probably someone that you could get with. I hear that Atalanta's single, so try and get with her. But no, Agamemnon's just like, well, when you put it like that, my brother, I guess I could convince my daughter to come out here, but what would be the proper way to do so? So if you guys have ever heard of the myth involving Iphigenia, it goes like this. Agamemnon sends a letter to his daughter and his wife saying, good news, honey! Achilles wants to have your hand in marriage, so come on to the battlefield before we set off. It's gonna be a glorious event. But he has second thoughts afterwards, just trying like, maybe we shouldn't have sent that letter after all. Because maybe this would be a bad thing to sacrifice my daughter for something that's truly not even my concern. It's more like my brother's concern, so why isn't he doing this? But before he could go ahead and take all that back, Iphigenia and Clytemnestra end up at the camp, right when he's regretting all of his actions, even further. Hooray! But then he's just like, can someone lead my wife away so we can do the ceremony in private? Thank you. However, unlike in the myth where Achilles meets up with Iphigenia and is just like, wait, whoa? I get to get married to you? Did someone not tell me this glorious event would be happening? Cause you are pretty as fuck. No, instead it's just, he leads his daughter up to the pyre and she's just like, but Dad, this is totally not a marriage thing. What's going on here? Is it like a barbecue? Are we having like roasted lamb or something? Yes, honey lamb, we gonna have some roasted something. Now just expose your neck for daddy so I can cut your throat. Wait, what? But like in the myth, Iphigenia is just either piecing together in her head that if she's gonna sacrifice herself, then that makes her the most important thing in the war. But then everyone has to take a step back like, I mean, we're going to war because Helen decided that Paris had the better sex than Menelaus. So you definitely take silver in the war of dumbasses. You definitely take second in this two-woman race of dumb decisions by men. And I'm saying this as a guy. That's gotta be a lot to take in. So then she just openly exposes her neck to be slit, and Clytemnestra, after seeing this, offers her own internal monologue of just like, when he gets back from this war, I swear to God, I will kill Agamemnon for killing my daughter. Even though during this action, it allows the winds to not blow so viciously, probably because Iphigenia had the most kick-ass blood for their blood fountain so they could get drunk as shit in Olympus or something. I don't fucking know. Where now they're like, we're gonna go off to war! There's gonna be no consequences whatsoever! But then we have to remember the Oresteia involving the fate for Agamemnon. Moving on from that, as we then go to them sailing towards Troy. They already had their defenses up because some other events happened that had them knowing that the Trojan seas will be invaded by the Greeks and yada yada yada. We also have some background characters that kind of come into play in this episode, but I'm not touching them because we already have so much to do and I'm already at the 15-minute mark. So I'm just going to rush ahead a little bit. Greeks end up going into Troy, but Hector tries to get them to have negotiations. As such, they then have Menelaus, Achilles, and Odysseus go into the castle to bargain with the king and queen of Troy. they try to literally point out that Menelaus just wants his wife back. Helen openly says she does not love him, basically says, I want you to sign the divorce papers, and leaves the room. They're like, nah, you can take your wife back. But even though she has the right to the divorce papers being signed, they're like, seems like too much of a problem and a hassle. Then they're just like, yeah, on top of this, since we also feel insulted, we also want the straits that you control for taxation on boats and exports. And then that's when they finally get pissed and decide to throw the offer back in their faces, while Paris himself tries to charge into the room and say, you are not taking Helen from me. I will stab you, ho. I will stab all of yous. And they're like, Paris, put your big boy diaper down. You get to keep your kidnapped victim a little bit longer. We're going to war with the Greeks. And so because of this, now the gods are just finally having a discussion where Zeus is asked by Hera and Athena whose side he's going to be taking, but Zeus, being the dumbass dickweed that he is, just like, I ain't choosing sides. You women to start this whole contest yourself, so you solve this. Even though in retrospect, for everyone at home, this is all Zeus's fault! Like, seriously, dude, if you didn't hand over responsibility to Paris, none of this would have happened. I mean, sure, it would have been easier to just send a bolt of lightning down to kill Paris nonetheless, to just end everything before it began. But no, you had to make this happen. Why do people love Zeus so much? He's an arrogant asshole. But doing so, we then have the goddesses bless most of the main characters that we're going to be caring about throughout this entire event, from the Greek guys that I told you guys about, including a couple other characters I don't really want to mention. And then Athena has to do the charging by having Achilles go in first, while Aphrodite on her side blesses some Trojans, including Aeneas, who has his own thing of the Aeneid, and Hector, and a bunch of other characters that I have no time to get into because we've already spent a lot of time going into backstory. And then we finally begin the War of the Trojan War, where gods have been blessing soldiers left and right, and Agamemnon is seen as an idiot for not thinking that the Trojans would fight back so viciously on their home turf, do a retreat, and then obviously Odysseus, being the smartest man in the room, decides to try and do some smarter tactics for the next upcoming battles. And then Helen, after seeing all this bloodshed and toil, and Paris seeing all this bloodshed and toil, try to either escape, or having Helen try to go back to Menelaus to just end this stupid war before it gets even worse, while Paris tries to convince her to just stay with him. And we close out episode 2 like that. Bruh fucking vo, you dumbasses. I can't tell you how many times I could actually look at a show and literally hate the characters so viciously from amazing writing. That's like an entirely new level of self-gratifying hatred, where you've already seen this myth play out 1,000,000 times, yet the 1,000,000th and first time is where you're just like, I fucking hate this with a burning passion, even more so with this modern adaptation. And it only gets worse as we go into episode 3 next week. God, I hate you, Paris.